Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that helps you become your best self, and today we're talking about how to deal with people you don't like. But before we get to that, as always, I want to invite you to come say hi to me on social media. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo on both TikTok and Instagram, so come say hi. And you can find how to spell my name down in the show notes below, as well as how to send me an email with any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, feedback, or topic suggestions. And I would just like to give myself a big pat on the back because it's literally memorized. That's not written anywhere. I am not reading that from a script. But yeah, so let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything. I would love to hear from you. You're welcome to send me a DM on Instagram too, if that is preferable. Also, if you look down in the show notes, you'll see where you can sign up for my weekly newsletter, which comes out every Wednesday evening, except for last week when I was so busy. I apologize. But today, this week, we will be coming out with a newsletter, and I'm hoping that it'll have, I haven't come up with it yet, but I'm going to start drafting it. Some tips to get us through the holiday times, so if you're listening to this when this episode comes out, it is Monday, the Monday before Thanksgiving in 2022. And I would just give some tips on how to get through holiday time, with people you don't like and with family members that can cause drama and stir those kind of things up. And how to, deal with loneliness and those kind of things. So sign up for that if you would like to get some tips on that going into this holiday season, as well as the link to still purchase the Emotions Everyday Planner Journal Hybrid that I have for sale. That could be like a great gift for someone if you were looking for a gift to help someone with their emotional growth. That's pretty guided and beneficial. You know what I mean? There's other stuff down in the show notes below as well that you could check out. So go ahead and take a peek at that. But let's go ahead and just jump into today's topic, which again is how to deal with people you don't like. So, like I was saying, we are coming up on the holiday and time of year when we may be forced to spend time with people we don't enjoy. And I feel like this happens to me, but not as much. It's just because, there are people, like very few people that I'm like, that I still have to interact with in my daily life. Not like daily, but like every now and again, but it's just like more focused and intense time during the holidays. And it can be a lot, right? And it's those people that like drive us crazy or bother us on that extra level that we only reserve for those we actively avoid most other times of the year, right? It's just like, oh, that upper echelon of you really bother me, that kind of feeling. And, it doesn't matter what it is that bothers you about them. It could be the way they act or what they say or how they like come at you. Like, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you knowingly have to force yourself to get through the interaction because without, calling on all of like your patience and all your grace and all your manners that you have and learned over the years, you'd give up in the first 5 minutes. You'd be like, we're done here. This is too much. I cannot take it, right? And so you're just grasping at everything inside of you to get through these experiences and get through these interactions. And Thanksgiving and the rest of the holiday season is upon us. As I said, if you're listening when this drops, which is the Monday before Thanksgiving, which sometimes means the reemergence of people we don't like ending up at our family events or even friends. If you go to like a Friendsgiving and you're like, oh, that person's coming? Okay, because they have a different relationship with the host than you do, or you are the host and you feel obligated to invite them because someone else is expecting you to invite them, or they just bring them along without asking. You know what I mean? There were so many different situations where we have to deal with people we just don't like. They are just not our cup of tea, and that can feel like a lot. I know it might sound harsh also to admit there are people that we don't like, especially if they are our family, because our family is not exempt from that list, as I've said in several other episodes, just talking about how our family can really rub us the wrong way. But you aren't required to like everyone. I want you to know that. You're absolutely not required. I know people pleasers, believe me, you struggle with that. I get it. I've been there. But you're not required to like everyone, just as not everyone is going to like you. They're not. And I feel like that one's harder to grasp. It's like, oh, well, but I'm likable, right? But it's just like, well, that person that you don't like probably thinks they're likable, right? And there's probably people in life that actually like them, but you don't. And that's okay. Like, we all just live different lives and prefer different things. And not everyone's going to like you, and you're not going to like everyone. It's perfectly natural and acceptable. And I hope that that makes sense, because it's totally okay. But sometimes we don't know what to do to be nice enough, or how to get through these events as easily as possible, without maybe yelling back in their face or making a scene, or really just wanting to like shake them and be like, what is wrong with you? Why are you acting this way? Which is why I wanted to talk about it today, and the best ways to deal with people you don't like, because sometimes it can be difficult. You might freeze up. You might be like unsure of like if you're able to have the best interaction with them, to show that you're willing to have an interaction with them, but it needs to be civil and balanced and like not full of crazy town things, right? But before we get into the list of like tips and advice that I do have for you, I wanted to take a moment to address people pleasers. My people pleasers. You have my heart, because I struggled with that for so long, and I still struggle with it sometimes now. But I want you to know, if you are a people pleaser, despite doing everything in your power to do best for everyone, there are still people you don't like or enjoy being around. I know it to be true, because there's always a small spot in my heart where I was just like, oh, you want to please everyone, but it's just like those people are just like, ugh, bottom of the barrel. You don't want to, but you do, right? And maybe you'll have trouble admitting it, that there's people that you don't like, but you know it's true. And I'm just going to let you have a heart-to-heart with yourself to come to that conclusion. And because of this, I want to caution you, and really everyone. I don't think you have to necessarily be a people pleaser for this to apply to you, but I do know without a shadow of a doubt it does apply to people pleasers. But if it applies to you as well, please take this advice. I want to caution you that you could very well hit your limit of putting up with people's crap and being overly nice, that if you aren't managing your emotions well enough, it might all blow up in front of you like a volcano erupting, and it just all crashing down. And you got to be aware of this, okay? I've actually had this experience before. It's not fun. Don't think that you're just tougher than anyone else and it won't happen to you. It's better to be prepared and know the caution, rather than just like throw caution to the wind and just let whatever happen. Like, sometimes you might still do that, because as we know, a lot of our best learned lessons are from mistakes and failures. Those times where we just fall down, and that's okay, right? But I'm just trying to give you the warning that, it might be too much. It might blow up. Sometimes that might mean an outburst, or maybe like tears, or maybe a complete shutdown. Just done. So just be aware that if you pile on more catering to others than you can handle, you will reap the consequences of that. You will reap the consequences. You will have problems to deal with. And, if we're already dealing with someone that we don't like, that seems like a big enough problem to deal with, that why would we take on more? Why would we take on more? Okay, so now here are some tips on how to deal with people that you don't like. We're going to cut straight to the chase today. I'm not going to take you on a 16 to 20 minute diatribe of what it means to not like someone, because we all know what it means, and we all have it in different experiences in different ways. I don't need to go on a rant about that. Okay, so I have 7 to share with you. As always, before I go into the tips, I want to remind you that all of this is based on my own knowledge and research and experiences I've been through, and the experiences of others that I'm able to share. If you feel like this does not align with what you need and what would help you deal with people that you don't like, I encourage you to seek a therapist or a counselor, because they will be able to help you figure out, what you need to do to get through those interactions, right? And if that is not going to be beneficial to you, you can always go to our best friend Google and just type in how to deal with people you don't like. You will be able to see a lot of articles and other people's knowledge that might help you better than what I'm about to give you. But yeah, so that's it. And so let's go ahead and jump right in. And hopefully my voice will hold up until the end of this episode. It is It's getting quite raspy. Okay, so number one is accept that not everyone will like you. Now, I had to start with this one because, if you haven't already come to this conclusion, you got to get there. You got to get there before you can deal with the people that you don't like, right? So, not everyone is going to like you, and that's okay. Because, as we talked about before, it's not a requirement for others to like you, and it's not a requirement for you to like other people. So, just go ahead and accept that deep as like a truth in your soul and your mind that not everyone's going to like you. That's okay. Let's just deal with it and move on. Okay? So, that's number one. Number two is remember that only you have control over how you react or respond. I've talked about this many times before. A reminder is helpful here. Only you are. You might try to come at me and be like, no, but they did this and that and the other, and that means they made me feel whatever way. And I'm telling you that that's not true. And if you continue to believe that, you're literally just living your life in a victim mentality because you don't want to take responsibility for the fact that you could have chosen to feel a different way. Now, if you are new to learning how to manage your emotions, it will be a little bit hard for you in the beginning to realize that you get to choose. You do not have to go with the reaction that wants to come out of you, which is the one that is driven and controlled by your emotions without you actually having your mindset be in control and taking a beat to really consider how you should actually respond to the situation that would actually benefit you. So that's the difference between reacting and responding. If you didn't know that, reacting is like controlled by your emotions, and response is actually using like your mind and your thoughts to really decipher like what is the best way to deal with this situation that we're in. And so it's important for you to remember you are always in control of your emotions. And if you don't believe me now, I hope that one day you will. There are people on the internet who do not believe this. I've gotten into fights with people online, like discussions where they're like, no, that's not true. You're just making it harder and blaming us. And I'm not. The only thing that we can control in our entire lives is us, our emotions, our thoughts, our actions, our behaviors. That is it. That is all. That is the list. It's done. It's over. So I'm telling you the truth. And no one else can control it for you. They can try to manipulate you all day, every day, and there are going to be times where we fall victim to that. Of course, I have. I'm not saying I haven't. But we have to know that we do have that power to make that choice, okay? So even if they're trying to aggravate you on purpose, you still get to choose what you say, what actions you take, and how you deal with their actions towards you. Right? You are not obligated to react in a way that displays your true feelings of the situation. Maybe you are angry or mad or just frustrated or disappointed or however it is you're feeling based upon the experience that you're having, right? But you're not obligated to show them your true feelings or let them know that they got to you, right? A lot of people will try to bother us because they want to see if they can get to us, that they can bother us and have us react in the way that they expect. And that just fills them with joy. Let's take that away from them. Let's not allow them to do that. You can just smile and nod sometimes. A lot of times that works. That has worked for me many, many times where I'm just like, okay. And you nod your head and then, come up with a reason to walk away as politely as possible. Start talking to someone else. It's just, you just find a way out if you need to. But only you have control of your emotions, how you react and respond. It's the truth, whether you believe it or not. And that will really help you deal with people that you don't like because you don't have to allow them to get to you if you don't want to. Okay, number 3 out of 7, remember. Number 3 is widen your perspective. I'm sure you weren't expecting this one. No. And it's interesting, and I thought it'd be kind of helpful. So maybe, and only maybe, okay, could you try and see who they are, this person that you don't like, who they are and how they act from another perspective, which may help you not be as bothered by them. Maybe. This is a very much maybe, right? I'm not saying this is work for every person every time, but it could work sometimes for you to just be like, oh, well, they're acting this way because of this or that or the other, right? And okay, it could help you extend more grace to them, right? To what they may be going through or how they are treating others. And I want to let you know right now, this is not an excuse for how they are acting at all. No, but it's more for you to like manage your own reactions to the situation and be like, okay, well, I'm not going to respond like really mean or aggressive or anything in this situation because I understand that like that's what they're feeding off of or that's what will cause that might lead to them having a more heightened emotion that is absolutely unnecessary for this event. You know what I mean? Or it might cause more drama or whatever the case may be. So it's important for us to, take an opportunity to widen our perspective. This happened to me, I would say this past weekend where I discovered why someone was acting the way that they were acting. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's not an excuse. No, because they can still control how they act, but they don't realize it. They're naive to the fact that this is bothersome to others or they aren't. But the people still put up with them, right? And so they're just like, okay, this is the way that I can act because no one has said anything or enough for it to matter, right? But then it gave me an opportunity to be like, okay, well, this is how I'm going to deal with this person then because I understand that this is why they're acting this way, and now I can find the best response to deal with them and then move on or find a way to exit, right? Or find a way to shut them down so it doesn't progress into a conversation that makes me even more uncomfortable than it already is. Does that make sense? So maybe you can widen your perspective and see who they are and why they act the way they do from a different perspective. And that can just help you manage your own emotions better to get through that interaction. Okay, number four. Number four is, and also I apologize if I'm like breathing really loud. It's like hard to breathe a little bit. So I'm just like, okay, I can do this. Sorry, guys. So, but I'm sure like a lot of heavy breathing is just not, it's not it. It's not the thing. Anyway, number four, switch up your conversation topics. Switch up your conversation topics. It's an easy one. If what they are talking about bothers you, change the topic to something else, right? It's just like they're talking about politics and that's not your jam. You're like, oh my gosh, but have you been to this local event? Or did you hear about this piece of news that's more maybe like, celebrity entertainment, like randomness than that stuff. And then you might have to do that a couple times if they try to jump back to their topic for them to realize, oh, we're moving on, right? So, that might mean that you're going to try to switch it up. You're going to try to move on. And if they do continue to like come back to that same topic though, like no matter how, like whatever the conversation like topic that you change it to, like no matter what, they just continue to shift back to what they're talking to, then you might need to take a break. You might need to walk away. The way for you to switch up the conversation might be just going to a different conversation, right? Finding your way out of that interaction, that circle that you might be in. So it can be really helpful. So if they're just talking about something that you don't want to talk about, try to slyly, as best you can, come up with something else and talk to them about it, or even change the topic to something that applies to them. So if you have heard from them that something exciting happened to them or something really cool, or maybe someone else told you about it, just like shift the topic to them, because usually people like this will like to talk about themselves. And so you're like, oh, okay, talk about something more interesting than talking about this topic that I absolutely dread, like whatever it is. Maybe you don't like talking about horses. I don't know, HOAs, pineapple on pizza. Maybe that topic just you're just like, I'm over it, and change it to something else, or change it to something that they'll be able to talk about, that you can actually endure that conversation. Okay, so again, switch up the topics, and if that doesn't work, take a break. Number 5, interact the same way others do with them. I thought this was really cool when I was doing research. I was like, oh yeah, I feel like I kind of did this subconsciously without realizing it. But, this could be a little tricky. I do want to start from the jump and say that like it could be this tip of like interacting the same way others do with them could be tricky because you never want to be mean or bully someone just because others are. Okay? But so if they're not bullying them, if they're not being mean, if they're not being rude on purpose, and the interactions you're observing with someone else and that person you don't like are pretty chill, right? Pretty civil, then interact the same way that they are, right? So if they're asking only like certain questions or certain staying on certain themes, like do that same thing. Maybe that could be like a guide for how you interact with this person too to keep it pretty chill. Maybe it's only talking about what you have in common, right? Just between you two, or just one specific subject to keep the whole interaction civil. So again, maybe it's talking about themselves, right? Or talking about this one thing that really just they're super passionate about that doesn't bother you. Or maybe there is a certain excitement that someone else is showing when talking to them, and maybe that keeps them on a more chill level, and maybe you can do that too. You don't have to, obviously you don't have to do any of these, but it could be helpful to, if you found someone that seems to be interacting with them in a positive way, just mimic what they're doing. And that can just help you, get through the conversation, get through the interaction, get through the whole event, right? So just consider that. Interact the same way others do. Number 6 of 7, okay? Number 6, know when to walk away. I put this one at the end of the list because sometimes you just have to walk away. Sometimes you just have to be done and be like, I'm over this. This is just absolutely not helpful. So just know when to walk away. Sometimes you got to take a break. And I did mention it in another tip previously, but you might need to come up with an excuse to step away and take a break. So maybe you pretend like you're getting a call or a text message, or you have to go call someone, or you forget that you need to leave, or that you need to talk to someone else about something before they leave, or you need to find a reason to go help the host, like whatever it is, find a reason to take a break, or just be like, hey, I'm just going to go chill, right? But I would also say that if you say that, make sure that it's not necessarily in a way that you're inviting them along with you, because if you're trying to get away, then that might not work. You know what I mean? So you got to be nice, got to be polite, but you got to know when to walk away, because you're not required to endure someone else being rude or intentionally mean to you. So walk away when you know what they are doing crosses your boundaries and it's too much, okay? You don't have to endure all of this pain or annoyance. It's not required. So know when to walk away. Okay, number 7. And the last tip that I have to share with you today on how to deal with people that you don't like is to figure out why this person bothers you. Figure out why you don't like this person. Like genuinely, you might just be like, "Oh, they're just annoying," but like, what's beneath that? What is like the sub level below that? And I mean it. Actually, figure it out, because like, is it because they bring up hostile or inappropriate topics? Is it bullying or being rude? Is it something that happened in the past that you haven't forgiven them for, or could it be jealousy from you? From you, right? It could be jealousy from them too, but what if it's jealousy from you, right? Maybe you weren't expecting that twist and turn, but it could just be that you're jealous of them and you're taking out you being upset about what they have that you don't. So take the time to really understand why they bother you so much to better come up with strategies to be around them when you have to. So if it's jealousy, like figure out what you can do to change your own life, to hit your own goals, and to be happy on your own, rather than just being upset with someone else who has the things that you think that you want. Or if they're bringing up hostile, inappropriate topics, maybe you just need to make a rule, or ask the host that they can make a rule to just like not talk about certain things, because maybe people have expressed that it's just not helpful and it just kind of drags the event down. Maybe that's an option. Or maybe like if they start talking about it to you, you're just like, oh no, I don't like talking about those subjects, right? Or if they're bullying or just being rude to like everyone, then again, you probably should like figure out what the host would say about that. And if you are the host, then you can just decide like, hey, if you're not going to act appropriately, we're going to kick you out of here. Like, we're just not going to have you here. But, it's just like, if those are the reasons, though, if they're bullying or being rude, you could even go a little bit deeper in being like, okay, well, does this happen all the time? Like, when did it start? Like, where was the birthplace of this interaction that I've had with them? And is there anything you could do or change or talk to them about that would have them maybe act a different way? I don't know. But just really dig deep and find out why this person bothers you. Deeper than just being like they annoy you or they bother you. No, deeper than that. Really figure it out. Is it because they are projecting behavior that you don't like in yourself? Ooh, that's tough. Like, they are exhibiting behavior that you really wish that you didn't do, but you do it. And you wish you didn't. And that makes you uncomfortable. Highly possible. So consider that. But that is the last one of my tips on how to deal with people that you don't like. So hopefully this was really helpful before you go into Thanksgiving or any holiday event or any time ever, any day of the year. But thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast again with me, Sabrina. I appreciate every single one of you. Absolutely, I do. Just if you ever message me, I hope that you can feel my gratitude through the messages that I send back. But again, thank you so much for listening, downloading, sharing. Until next time, have a good one, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.